My name is Steve Hanson. I'm the director of the Reef Center for International Studies and co-sponsor of the Global Film Festival with the Charles Center.
My name is Akbar Ahmed. I'm the chair of Islamic Studies at American University, Washington, D.C., and visiting William and Mary. Very honored to be here with my friend, the distinguished Professor Steve Hanson, the head of the Global Film Festival. He kindly invited me, so we're here to show a film, Journey into Europe, and my previous film, Journey into America, was shown as a pre-festival event. I was very inspired, for example, working on Journey into America. In America, when we traveled for about a year to 75 cities right across the length and breadth of the United States. I was surprised in meeting so many very distinguished African-American imams. That came to me as a surprise. They were learned, they were wise, and what struck me was their gentility. You know, in a time of great tension between races, between cultures, between religions, you suddenly had these extraordinary figures promoting bridge building, dialogue, and peace. And they had a certain peace within them. Not that they were not aware of all the struggles. This was the really surprising thing. But the fact that they had overcome those struggles. It was very inspiring. You know, Steve, because they were intelligent people, they knew the history of their own people here in the United States, and yet they had transcended that. And any mosque we went to, we were welcomed. We were made to feel part of the community, and they reached out to us. And after that, every time I spoke of the African-American imams and how they should really be seen much more in the media, in the United States and in the Muslim world as representing Islam. And I must say this for the record, that unfortunately they're not. So you don't see so many of them in the media. When you see Islam, you'll have some person from the Middle East or South Asia representing Islam, not the African Americans. So that's what surprised me. For Europe, I was very impressed by some of the leaders I met, really extraordinary leaders. The former Archbishop of Canterbury, Dr. Rowan Williams, the former Chief Rabbi of the UK, Lord Jonathan Sacks, the Grand Mufti from Bosnia, the former Prime Minister, Dr. Harris. These are giants, intellectual giants. It's a very European tradition. A public official who's also an intellectual. You know, it's a very European, the Jean-Paul Sartre background. They were like that. They were intellectuals, they were philosophers, and they were leaders of their field. I've been very involved in trying to involve my students in my class and then outside class, to take them to the field so that they begin to understand the world they're living in, and in turn begin to act as ambassadors for this great country, the United States, and build bridges abroad where very often they're needed. So when my friend Professor Hanson invited me, I was thrilled. The Global Film Festival at William and Mary has already, it's not been in existence for many years, but it's already established a reputation. It has a great credibility, so we were thrilled, and I'm delighted to be here. I mean, we've got a very tight program. I have to rush back to DC now for another event, but we were determined to come here. So I was telling my friend Steve, I said, when we get an invitation from you, we can't turn the offer down. And I don't mean I'll find a horse's head in my bed the next morning. I mean, you know the joke, by the way. Steve, please explain the background.
Speaking of film, that would be Godfather first movie, if you take a look at that. Yeah, thank you so much, Ambassador. I think that the theme of film and community is just about the perfect one for your films.
Yes.
In fact, I can't even imagine a more perfect starting point for the Global Film Festival on film and community than these incredible movies about dialogues with Muslim populations in Europe and America. Part of a larger series which really explores the Muslim world more generally. And dialogue is part of community.
Yes.
Communities get built because people are sharing different experiences, and diversity and community don't contradict one another, they reinforce one another. So I think that film allows us to build community on a global scale in a way that maybe other technologies and media don't. In a funny way, the internet, which seems like it should be the perfect global media, often segments people as opposed to building deeper communities and bonds of diverse people. But film is a communal experience. It brings people together to watch, to dialogue about it, to reflect. And I think that happened in the film last night, and hopefully will continue to.
And you're right, Steve, if I may, just off your point, film takes you into the community. The internet is impersonal. You're sitting in your room, you could be anywhere, basement, bedroom. for the film, like as we did, we went into the community. So you'll see very often we are in a church or a synagogue or in a mosque or in a madrasa talking to ordinary people and getting their raw reactions and emotion. That's very powerful because you have no idea what's happening, because it's live. You know that last scene in the film when we are in a mosque at Cambridge, and I've given a talk and this young man comes up to me. He could be anyone. He could be a critic of Islam. He could attack me. He could do anything. And he comes up and says, I want you to see this picture. And he has a picture of the Pope. And this young man is standing with him. And this young man's Italian. And he said, I met the Pope, and the Pope said, next time you meet a Muslim, go up to him and hug him and say that this hug is from the Pope. Now that's a very powerful moment in film. It's a very dramatic moment. That's why we gave it the sort of climax. You know, it means something. It's a metaphor for the film, right, which is how to get together, how to hug each other. For me, throughout my life, I would say for the last couple of decades, I was very inspired by this little motto from E.M. Foster, the great author, you know, who wrote A Passage to India and many. I mean, he's one of the great English novelists of all time. So in one of his books, the motto before the book starts, before the novel starts, is only connect. And that's what I want both the communities to take over. Only connect. We are living in a world which appears in flames. The fires all over, the ethnic, religious. The Middle East is on fire. Europe is in great tension. Ukraine is, you've got the Russians right across the border. They've grabbed Crimea. What happens next? Of course, he's the great authority on Russia, but I'm sure even he can't predict what Russia will do next. So everyone is really concerned about what's happening in our world. They've got the United States with the presidential election, etc., etc. Barriers are going up. Now, to bring the barriers down, you need to reach out, to connect. And this motto, only connect, becomes very relevant as a metaphor for us in our personal lives and in our lives as communicators. And these people on campus working with film are communicators. They're conveying an idea, and I think this is the most powerful idea that you can convey and share.
I really wonder if I could steal the only connect line for the Reef Center. It's absolutely what we also are trying to do. So I think, you know, Film and Community and the Global Film Festival for us are an important project at the Reef Center, along with our good friends at Charles, precisely because our mission here is to make these connections at William and Mary that we think are deeply historic. This university was founded by people across an ocean, and already it was designed to make those connections in a period when that was an incredibly novel thing to do. And today still our student body, our faculty, our staff as well are constantly in touch with friends across the world. Through study abroad, through our international students and scholars coming here, through visitors that we've had from, such as the distinguished ambassador, from around the world as well. So Only Connect works for us too. It's a place where connections come together, and if we didn't make those connections, William and Mary would be not as good.
To me as a teacher, there's nothing more important than connecting with the students and passing on what you think are things of permanent value to you so that they pick it up and then translate that in their own lives. Because we've all been, Steve and myself, teenagers. It's a difficult period. It's a period of transition, of some confusion, uncertainty. And I've also found that the American students, the undergrads, the students on campus are very inspiring. They're very passionate. They want to change the world. They want to do something. Very often they're not sure the direction that they should be taking. Now you mentioned Islamophobia, this whole discussion on Islam of other communities in the United States. It's the perfect opportunity for students to step up and be involved in the debate. So my suggestion is don't be shy. They're fortunate at William and Mary, they have a senior professor like Professor Hanson who's actually promoting this dialogue, promoting this movement. Come to him and talk to him about being involved. We are very lucky because I was fortunate in having students, and some of my team members are here both for this project, the previous one, and for 4 projects. The quartet of studies is Frankie Martin, they're here with me. So these wonderful students actually became the dynamic element in these projects. So they were bringing a perspective that I couldn't bring. They're young, they're looking at things through fresh eyes, and they have a wonderful sense of humor. So very often, while we finish the serious part of the day, filming, etc., then in the evening we can relax, joke, etc. And I really enjoy their company. It's like getting a dose of energy from them. And I tease them a lot, like Frankie, for example, if he's late, I say, look, Frankie, you're supposed to be my assistant, but I end up very often being your assistant. So he appreciates that. So these students in turn have become in themselves ambassadors for the United States of America. They've traveled with me in the Muslim world. They've been with me to mosques, madrasas, synagogues, churches. They've had tea with presidents, lunches with prime ministers, and they've come back changed, because they really can now help America understand the world and the world understand America. So that is a great ideal for young students. So reach for the skies and go out and change the world.
It's hard to add anything to that absolutely inspirational summary. I'll say just two things. I mean, one is an interesting finding from study abroad, which we've learned through doing statistical analysis. Students who go on study abroad become both more tolerant of other cultures and more proud of the United States. Sort of an interesting thing. So, you know, it doesn't have to go against each other, right?
No.
That somehow today people think it's either the U.S. or the world.
Yeah.
But it's actually the U.S. and the world in this kind of wonderful synergy when people see how it fits together, which is a lot of what study abroad brings to the table. And the other thing is your inspiration in bringing students into the projects you do is something that we also are really striving to do at William & Mary, just about everything we do globally. The Global Film Festival is a good example, as is the Flat Hat. But also our study abroad programs are largely driven by student research interests, faculty-student projects that they work on together while they're overseas, involving our international students, some of whom go on study abroad, actually to other countries than the ones they came from. So we are bottom-up here. We're driven by students and student passions and faculty passions, as opposed to trying to impose some model of what the world should look like on them. And you do inspire us every day.